When you hear the drums at midnight, it is not the living who are dancing. That was a warning whispered from one generation to the next in Okija, a quiet village tucked between thick forests and winding rivers in eastern Nigeria. Everyone knew the law: never touch the drum that sat inside the shrine. Not for festivals, not for weddings, not even for mourning. The Ikoro of the ancestors, carved from a tree older than the village itself, belonged not to men but to the dead. But warnings have a way of turning into temptations. The shrine of Okija was small and unassuming, made of red earth hardened by countless seasons of rain. Inside, half hidden in shadows, stood the Ikoro, taller than a man, its body dark and cracked with age, its surface smeared with old palm oil and ash. The elders said it was not carved by human hands. Some claimed the tree fell in the middle of a storm, and when lightning split it, they found the hollow body of the drum waiting inside. Others swore that when the first ancestors crossed a river and settled in Okija, the drum was already standing there, humming softly as if it had been waiting for them. Children dared one another to run to the shrine and touch it, but no one ever struck it. The elders told them that any hand bold enough to beat the drum would wake those who slept beneath the soil. It was during the festival of the New Yam, when palm wine flowed and laughter filled the air, that Obinna, a restless young man, grew tired of the ordinary drumming and dancing. He had always thought the warnings were nothing more than old stories told to keep children in line. That night, emboldened by drink and the cheers of his friends, he declared, "Why should the ancestors keep the finest drum? Let the living also hear its voice." The others laughed nervously, shaking their heads, but Obinna's pride was stronger than their fear. He slipped away from the firelight and walked toward the shrine, the moonlight guiding him like a pale lantern. When he reached the Ikoro, the air grew unnaturally still. Even the crickets fell silent. Obinna placed his palm on the drum. The wood was warm, as though something beneath it was alive, breathing. And then he struck it. Boom! The sound rolled out like thunder, deeper than any drum he had ever heard. It rattled the ground, trembled through the trees, and echoed into the very soil. He struck it again. Boom! Boom! From far away, he heard dogs barking wildly, goats bleating in panic. The fires of the festival flickered as though wind had passed, but the air was still. People turned their heads toward the shrine, confusion on their faces. And then the earth began to move. The first arise were the freshly buried, their bodies still wearing shrouds of cloth, faces pale in the moonlight. They pulled themselves out of the red earth, their eyes hollow, their mouths opening and closing soundlessly. Then came the older ones, skeletons with beads of soil clinging to their bones, skulls grinning with empty sockets. Some carried fragments of mats they had been buried with. Others clutched charms placed in their graves long ago. One by one, they rose, hundreds of them, until the village square was filled with the dead. They moved slowly, but their numbers grew until it seemed as though the earth itself had emptied. The villagers screamed, scattering into the bush. Children cried out for their mothers. The festival became chaos as the living fled from the touch of those who had once been family. Obinna, frozen in shock, dropped his drumstick. The Ikoro still hummed, its deep tone vibrating in the night. He realized too late that he had not merely woken the dead, he had called them home. The dead did not chase the villagers. Instead, they gathered in a circle around the shrine, their heads tilted toward the drum. A woman with sunken eyes and a necklace of cowries stepped forward. Her voice was not a whisper, but a roar that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Why have we been disturbed?" Obinna fell to his knees. I meant no harm. I only wished to hear the drum." The hollow-eyed woman raised a bony hand, and the crowd of the dead murmured like wind through dry leaves. "You beat the Ikoro, the bridge between our world and yours. Do you not know the law?" Obinna shook with fear. "Forgive me." But forgiveness was not what the dead had come for. The ancestors decreed that from that night onward, the living of Okija would never know peace. Whenever the moon was full, the Ikoro would beat by itself, and the dead would rise to walk the village. Families barred their doors on such nights, praying that no ancestor would call their names. Some heard whispers at their windows, old voices begging for food or water. Others swore they felt the touch of a cold hand while they slept. As for Obinna, the one who had dared to strike the drum, he was never seen again. Some said the dead dragged him below the earth. Others claimed he wandered forever at the edge of the forest, neither alive nor fully gone, condemned to listen to the sound of the drum. Years turned into decades, and the story of the forbidden drum passed into legend. Parents told their children, "When you hear the midnight drum, close your ears and hide your eyes. It is not for the living to answer." Even travelers who passed through Okija reported strange happenings. They spoke of seeing processions of shadowy figures on moonlit nights, moving slowly through the fields as though searching for something. Some never returned from their journeys. The shrine itself crumbled with age, but the drum remained untouched, its surface unmarred by time. No matter how many seasons passed, it looked the same, dark, humming, alive. And still, no one dared to play it again. Today, the elders of Okija still warn visitors, do not go near the shrine after dark. The path to it is overgrown, but if you walk far enough into the bush, you may hear it, a low, rolling sound that seems to come from the ground itself. Some say the ancestors are still waiting for the one bold enough, or foolish enough, to strike the Ikoro again, because the dead do not forget, and when the drums summon them, they will always rise.